Good evening and welcome to today's session for the subject Strategies for Sustainable Design. As I see only one learner has joined, I'll wait for 5 more minutes, see others join, and then I'll start the session. It's 5 minutes now. I see there are no learners, but I think I'll start the session anyway. So, welcome to today's session. This is session 6 for week 6 for the subject strategies for sustainable design. This is what has been covered in week 6 of lectures. This includes the first lecture on growth and development in construction and allied sectors. Next, which you would have studied a little bit about the construction sector and the other allied sectors, and how uh, economic growth in those sectors has been nudged and supported by the government and certain policies, and how growth in these sectors is connected with is uh, or influences sustainability or sustainable design decisions, etc. Next two lectures would be about policy push in two different sectors. The first would be on the policy push in the real estate and manufacturing sector, and the second would be about policy push for development for the low economic regions. So again, talking about policy push in different sectors and how that influences sustainability and sustainable economic growth decisions. Second last lecture would be on sustainable building materials, again focusing on the use of sustainable building material in different manufacturing and service sectors or different economic sectors, and how their use in the building or construction and allied sectors can be encouraged. What are the different kinds of building materials, and how why their use is important, and how it can be supported. Last lecture would be on reduce, reuse, and recycle. So, uh, uh, the concept on uh, so this would be based on uh, um, waste management at the end of a project's life cycle, or the concept of circular economy, how we can uh, encourage more sustainable practices at the end of a project's life cycle. Okay, so let's start with the first question. So the first question is, India has joined hands with which country for infrastructure development in India's northeastern states, especially to undertake strategic infrastructure projects? And you have four options: South Korea, Australia, Japan, and France. So this is basically talking about the India-Japan Act East Forum. So the forum aims to provide a platform for India and Japan collaboration under the rubric of India's Act East policy, and which for Japan means uh, free and open Indo-Pacific strategy. So both are referring to the same strategies, but in India we call it as Act East policy, and in the context of Japan's policies for infrastructure development, they are referring to it as free and open Indo-Pacific strategy. So what this forum does is that it will identify specific projects for the economic modernization of India's northeastern region, including those pertaining to connectivity, developmental infrastructure, industrial linkages, and people-to-people contacts through various sectors like tourism, culture, and sports related activities. So there are certain activities which or certain sectors which are in the scope of this initiative. This include agriculture, development of agro industries, especially through small and medium industries, then promotion of tourism and cultural exchanges, also promotion of skill in India, then cooperation in development of urban areas, provision of healthcare, and promoting sustainable use of the forest resources, development of new and renewable energy, disaster resilience, and lastly connectivity. So this is what the India-Japan Act East Forum is about. It is about supporting the development of India's northeastern states through strategic infrastructure projects in these whose scope is this. If you want to read further about it. I have also linked the source for this. So if you visit this source, it takes you to the forum or the document about the forum. So this is the fact sheet about this forum, and then it further gives you the scope of each of the initiatives, or each of the heads of the initiatives. So for example, agriculture, agro industries, etc. So if you want to read further, you can go ahead and access this document. Coming back, so we move on to the next question. So the next question is, the infrastructure sector in the year 2019 attracted what percentage of uh, the total private equity venture capital investment? And you have four different options for percentages. So this is basically referring to this graphic that was shared in one of your lectures, which is talking about the investments in the infrastructure sector, both from private equity and venture capital. So these are two kinds of investment or two investment types um, in the open market. So that is equity investments and venture capital investments. And it is saying that in all the sectors, among investments in all the sectors in 2019, that was there in equity and venture capital, 40% of all the investments was done in the infrastructure sector. So this is what it is talking about. So that is what this question is referring to, and this is the answer to it. If you go to the individual figures of investments in private equity and venture capital, you will get a figure somewhere over 31 to 33%, but there has been some rounding off that has been done in this case, and that leads to this figure or this fact, which points to that 40% of the total private equity and venture capital investment in 2019 was done in the infrastructure sector. So that is this question. Moving on to the next question. So the next question is, first charcoal-fired iron making was attempted in 1830 in which Indian states? And you have four options: Odisha, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. So this is actually referring to this graphic or this timeline of the industrial growth or economic growth in India during the pre-independence and then post-independent periods. So you can see here in the pre-independence, we basically started even before independence, during our British occupation. A lot of Indian handicrafts products were exported in large numbers by the British, and during that time itself, the first charcoal-fired iron making was started in Tamil Nadu. So this is what this question is talking about, that when the first charcoal-fired iron making was attempted in India. So this is the question. So this marked the first industrial kind of production of charcoal-fired iron in an Indian state or on the Indian subcontinent. So this is what this refers to. So this was basically the starting of industrialization or industrial manufacturing of iron in India. Slowly after that, the India's present-day largest conglomerate, that is the Tata Group, it was started by Jamshedji Tata in 1868, and slowly after that, Indian industry grew very slowly at first because of the British occupation, but with greater momentum after the independence. So I hope this question is clear. We move on to the next question. So the next question is that Indian government focused on into developing and growing basic and heavy industries, and they started with the concept of 5-year plan known as what? And you have a few options. Either it is Panchvarshiya Yojana or Pradhan Mantri Yojana, or both of these or none of these. So even if you go just by the name itself, that 5-year plan, So 5 year can be translated into Panchvarshya in Hindi. So that is what it refers to. The 5 year plan is known as the Panchvarshya. So basically, 5 year plans were kind of a centralized and integrated national economic program which focused on promoting economic development in India. Although planned economic development, the concept of planned economic development was not the first 5 year plan was not the first kind of concept of planned economic development in India. It began very early on post independence in 1944 and 1945, and even before that, uh, with the setting up of the National Planning Committee by the International Congress in 1938. We had earlier economic development plans like the Bombay Plan and the Gandhian Plan and the People's Plan, which came in 1944 and 45, and then the Sarvodaya Plan, which came in 1950. But these were not centralized and integrated national economic uh, programs, and a need for this was felt, and this need then uh, pushed or influenced this centralized and integrated uh, planning system, which gave birth to or which enabled the setting of the Planning Commission in India in 1950, and their aim was to promote rapid rise in the standard of living of Indian people by efficient use of the resources of the country, to increase production and offer opportunities to the people of India. And to do this, the system of 5 year plans or the Panchvarshya Yojana was set up. So, the initial goal of these plans were to increase production based on the India's basic industries, which were largely primary sector industries, and then further increase manufacturing and heavy industries as the plans progressed. So this is what this question is talking about, and I hope this is clear. If you want to read further about the 5 year plans, I have attached a link here. So if you click on through to this link, it will take you to this page, which explains to you in detail what 5 year plans are, what is their history, uh, how they were conceived, and throughout the history, uh, which of the plans focused on which kind of activities, what models they were based on, what aims they had, and what amount of growth these plans actually achieved. So if you want to go and read this further in detail, you can visit this link and read further about 5 year plans. Uh, the system of 5 year plans then came to rest with the conception of the Niti Aayog, which is the National Institute for Transforming India, in 2015. So now the system for 5 year plans has been put to rest, and instead of the Planning Commission, Niti Aayog has been conceived, which now takes care of economic planning or development planning for India. So, coming back and moving on to the next question. So, next question is, which of the following market strategies are adopted to boost economic success? And you have 5 options: digital technologies, collaboration, um, focus on inward integration, or all of the above. So, this is what you would have seen. This graphic is what you would have seen in your lecture. So this basically tells you about 4 key strategies which can help boost economic success, or these are the 4 market strategies which can help boost economic success. These include digital technologies, which means using digital tools to help the companies to operate more efficiently, reach more customers, analyze for better data, better decisions, to automate tasks, and just to stay competitive in the modern business landscape. Then you have the strategy of focusing on backward integration. So this can help companies gain control and efficiency by integrating processes or acquiring suppliers in the upstream or in the supply chain of the system of their production. This can help them reduce costs without compromising with the quality of the products that they are producing, and it can even help them enhance their strategic flexibility. Then there is focus on forward integration. So this uh, focuses on expanding into the distribution channels or the downstream activities of the companies. It can help them to capture more value and build direct relationship with their customers, and uh, even can help with more things like increasing brand visibility and creating barrier to entry for other competitors. And the last strategy is collaboration. So this focuses on partnering with other firms or other stakeholders that can allow the companies to leverage strengths and share their resources together, which can help them access new markets or can help them innovate or even can help them pursue opportunities that might be too costly or too risky to for the company to do on their own. But if they work together as a collective, it might be a more viable option. So these are the four key market strategies which I mentioned in your lectures, which can help boost economic success of the company. You can see here, you even have some examples. For example, this is about the digital technology, and you can see a lot of Indian manufacturing companies have already started adopting digital technology in their production processes, and which is helping in increasing their efficiency. It is also estimated that 65% of the manufacturing companies in India will have high levels of digitalization by 2020. And another example is for Ashok Leyland, and for its commercial vehicles, the company is using ML algorithms and a newly created telematics unit to improve the performance of the vehicle and driver and other stakeholders. Uh, Similarly, there is an example for a strategy that is focusing on backward integration. So, as of August 2018, Britannia Industries they started with backward integration with procurement of milk, as the industry is engaged in using milk uh, as a raw material for manufacturing several of their products. So they focused on the backward integration in their supply chain, and so specifically in the procurement of milk, and now it is coming out with dairy-based products. Another example is for the strategy of focusing on forward integration, and this is for Filatex India, which is a polymer manufacturer in India. And as of October 2018, the manufacturer is planning to undertake forward integration by setting up a fabric manufacturing and processing unit also. So once they produce the polymer, they can then use the polymer to manufacture the fabric out of it. So clearly an example of forward integration. Then a very good example of collaboration is the collaboration and technology transfer opportunities that have been created by the government of India with more incentives for FDI and domestic production in India. So these are some examples. So I hope this is clear. Moving on to the next question. So you can see from this digital technology, collaboration and forward integration, all three are part of the market strategies that can be adopted to boost economic success. moving on to the next question. So the next question is, which of the following does not fall under the subcategory of mitigation under the disaster resistant built environment? And we have four options: temporary housing, design innovation, building code updates, and renovations and retrofits. So if you see here, this question is basically referring to this graphic in which you were talked about disaster resistant built environment and the of disaster various components of disaster resistant built environment and how it can contribute how a disaster resistant built environment can contribute to uh, in combating disaster. So there are four key components: preparedness, response, mitigation, and recovery. And this question is basically talking about the subcategory that is mitigation. So you can see here in mitigation you have things like building code updates, retrofitting programs with certain incentives. Then you have design innovations which can help build more resistant or more resilient built environments, and then renovations and community and land use planning techniques which can again help build more resilient communities and more resilient urban areas. So you can see in mitigation, temporary housing is not an option. Temporary housing is an option for disaster response, which is the response immediately after the disaster has struck. So you can see here in this cycle also, uh, preparedness is something that you do immediately before a disaster strikes, or in case you do in case a disaster strike, you have to be ready to face the impacts of the disaster. Mitigation is something which you do well in advance in order to prepare or lessen the impacts of a disaster if or when it strikes. Response is something which you do immediately after the disaster occurs. So, in order to cope up with the impacts of the disaster, you do those things. And recovery is something which you do after the disaster has struck to recover from its impacts, to go back to the normal uh, the activities of repairing, rebuilding, relocating, etc. Those are part of the recovery. So from this it is clear that temporary housing is a part of immediate response and not a part of mitigation. So I hope that is clear. I also added this for you to understand better how preparedness, mitigation, response, and recovery differ from each other. So, preparedness is basically all the activities and plans that are put in place before a disaster occurs to enhance the readiness of the people. So, preparedness basically focuses on readiness, and it includes things like developing emergency plans, conducting drills, stockpiling supplies, educating the public, creating awareness, etc. Mitigation are all the measures that you take well in advance to reduce the severity of the impact of the disaster if and when the disaster occurs. So it aims to reduce the impact. These can include things like building infrastructure which is resilient to disasters. This can be done using building codes or implementing land use planning techniques or planning controls in the areas which are likely to be affected by certain disasters, and by promoting policies which can help reduce the vulnerability to hazards. Next is response. So, response is the immediate action that is taken during or after the disaster has struck. So, this is taken in order to deal with the consequences and in order to save lives uh, as a response to the disaster's impact. So, the response deals with the immediate action during the disaster and after the disaster. So, this can include things like deploying emergency services, conducting search and rescue, providing medical assistance to the injured or impacted people, and ensuring safety and well-being of affected population. So this can even include things like taking them to a safe house or to a temporary housing or shelter, which was mentioned in the question. Then is recovery. So recovery are the efforts that are focused on restoring and rebuilding communities after the disaster has passed. So this can include things like repairing their infrastructure, providing financial assistance to individuals and businesses, and offering counseling and support services to affected people, and even implementing longer term plans for reconstruction and resilient building in the community. So, this is recovery, which focuses on rebuilding and restoring the affected communities. So, I hope this clarifies what the different things related to disaster resistant built environment are. So, we move on to the next question. The next question is, as per the 2019 report, uh, which city has the highest office space? So it is talking about the cities in India, and according to this report, which cities in India have the highest office space? And you have four options: Hyderabad, Kolkata, Bangalore, and Gurgaon. So it is basically referring to this graphic that is sourced from the CBRE's research on the office supply split across cities, and the future supply splits across different segments in the cities. So you can see here in this graphic, uh, the highest office supply is in Bangalore, closely followed by Hyderabad. So you can clearly get your answer from there that Bangalore is the city which is the highest supply of office space among all the cities in India. Moving on to the next question. Uh, the next question is, the spectacular Palazzo Italia building in Milan is also known as what? And you have three options: smoke eating machine, smog eating machine, or fog eating machine. Or even the option that none of this is correct. So it is basically referring to this building, which is the Palazzo Italia in Milan. The building is basically considered an architectural and constructive challenge for its complexity of innovation and the materials and technologies that this building employ. So the building is designed in a sustainable way using photovoltaic glass in the roof, and also because of its photocatalytic properties of the new concrete for this branched facade in the building. So it is basically drawn on the concept of urban forest, and that is why this branched kind of structure is used as an envelope for the building. So this structure is clad in over 700 active biodynamic panels, and what these panels do is that when it comes in contact with light, so it is activated by coming in contact with sunlight, that is why photocatalytic. So when it comes in contact with sunlight or light, it captures the pollution which is there in the air, and it converts those pollutants in the air into inert salts, reducing the smog levels in the particular area where it is located in. And because of this reason, the building is also known as the smog eating machine. So I hope this was clear. I've also linked the Art Daily page for this building. So if you want to go read further about this building, you can visit this page. It talks about the Palazzo Italia or the Italy Pavilion. Uh, uh, it talks about the building, who its manufacturers are, about the building area, about the specifications of the building, who the designer is, who is the design team, and other details about the building's construction, the materials used, the spaces inside the buildings, and other things. So if you want to read further about this building, feel free to visit this page. Okay, coming back and moving on to the next question. So the next question is, in the post 1991 reform stage of Indian manufacturing sector, which sector became the engine of growth? And you have four options: industrial production, services, agricultural, or all of the above. So this again refers to the same timeline of economic growth or industrial growth in India, and this time it is asking that post 1991 reform stage of Indian manufacturing sector, which sector became the engine of growth? So first, you can see here in that in this graphic itself that the service sector itself became the engine of growth, while uh, the industrial production saw volatility in growth rates during this period. So from this timeline itself, you can see that. But again, this you can refer to this in other figures as well. So one key figure to refer is the percentage share of the key sectors in the India's GDP. So you can see the share of the service sector uh, increases from 45.7% to 53.7% from the 1990s to the 2000s, which is when the effects of the post 1991 reform stage were seen. And you can see the share of agriculture and industries don't grow as much, or the share of the agriculture comes down also. In this more detailed more detailed graph of the economic growth of various sectors also, you can see the service sector, which is depicted by this line. In this post growth period, the service sector uh, the growth in the service sector increases gradually and consistently, while the agricultural sector, it is very volatile, and the growth is not very consistent and even reduces over time. In the industrial sector as well, during this period, the growth is still volatile. As you can see, it reduces quite suddenly during this time, but then picks back up. So again, it is a little volatile, but the key sector which has become the engine of growth is the service sector during this period. If you want to read in further detail, you can see this graph as well, which talks about different sub sectors in the service sector. So for example, trade, hotels and the restaurant industry, the transport, storage and communication industry, financing, insurance, real estate and business services, community, social and personal services, and other things. If you want to read further, you can access this working paper by the ADB as well. It talks about the service sector in India and how it has grown over time. So if you want to read further, you feel free to access this document. Coming back, moving on to the next question. So this is the last question for today. This is the question asks that the specific determinant factors of end-of-life strategies does not consist of which of the following, and we have four options: reuse, reduce, recycle, and remanufacturing. So if you so the three key strategies at the end of life are reuse, remanufacture, and recycling. Reduce is actually a concept that comes very early on uh, in the concept of waste management and circular economy, and that is to reduce the consumption or reduce the usage of certain products. So it basically is doesn't come at the end of life cycles or not as an end of life strategy, but in the beginning when you are deciding if you want to use that product or not. So the three key end of life strategies are to reuse, remanufacture, and recycling. Uh, and then these are the specific determinant factors which decide that whether you should reuse the product, whether you should remanufacture it, or whether you should recycle it. So for example, in reusing, you can see that whether the material's physical or mechanical deterioration make it possible to reuse it or not. So you have a product, if you reuse it, will it get deteriorated over time or will it not? For how long it will sustain and things like that. You think about that. What is the risk of damage from reusing that material? What is the possibility that with time the material will become technologically obsolete? So for example, a lot of electronic products like mobiles and laptops, etc., which you use over time, uh, even if they are in a usable state, they become technologically obsolete, so you can't use them anymore. So again, these also affect if a certain product is reusable or not. Then things are like the reliability and durability of uh, the certain components and the system in which the product works. And again, the ease of disassembly. If it is very easy to disassemble the product and reuse it for certain other things, not exactly the same thing that the product was made for, then you can easily disassemble it and reuse it in different ways. So these are certain things which you can focus on while deciding to reuse a product at the end of its life. Similarly, there are certain determinants for remanufacturing. So same physical or mechanical deterioration, technological obsolescence, reliability of components and systems, is a disassembly. And the different thing here is the cheapness of remanufacturing processes. Remanufacturing is something in which that at the end of life of a product, you send it back often to the original manufacturer of the product to disassemble it, change the parts that have been deteriorated or that are not working anymore, and then remanufacture it through the remanufacturing process, so that uh, the product becomes as new or holds a life that is the same as a product that it was in its previous life or in its previous manufacturing stage. So that is what is remanufacturing. So how cheap the remanufacturing process is, that again determines whether you should remanufacture a thing or not. Then comes recycling. So again, physical or mechanical deterioration, technological obsolescence, reliability and durability of components and systems. These all affect your choices of recycling. Then what affects your choice is the recyclability and value of the material. So once you recycle material, whether it is usable again or not, so does it hold its value or its value degrades or deteriorates over the recycling cycles or not? Is it even possible to recycle the product? So are there physical or chemical methods or processes that are available that can help recycle the product or not? So these things affect your decision at the end of the life of the product, that whether you can recycle it or not. Then there is another thing in recycling, which is ease of material separation and cheapness of the recycling process. So a lot of the time, the products which we have, they are not made of one kind of material. They are components. There are components in the product which have different, which are made of different materials, and the ease of separation of the materials in the product also affects your choice of recycling at the end of the life of the strategy, and also the cheapness of the recycling process. So whether it is cheap or uh, actually viable for the product to be recycled and then repurposed or reused uh, for manufacturing a different product. So these are the three key end of life
Good evening,
strategies.
madam.
And I heard does someone want to say anything? Okay, coming back. So these are the key end of life strategies and the specific determinant of choosing whether to follow these strategies or not. So this was the last question for today. I am again coming back to a doubt which was asked in the previous section. In the previous session, which was about the hours of waste management and circular economy. Someone mentioned that earlier there were only 3 hours of reduce, reuse, and recycle, and now this has increased, which is true. Now there are more components uh, that have been added to waste management and circular economy, and now it consists of 8 hours, sometimes even 9 hours, which is uh, apart from this, which is recovery. So these R's are you're rethinking your choices, whether the product or the component of your products which you're using, whether they're sustainable or not, should are is it possible for you to make a more sustainable choice in your consumption pattern? So that is the rethink component of it. Then it is reuse. Then it is refuse. So refusing single-use products like single-use plastic bags, single-use other non not easily decomposable or non-decomposable single-use products. You can make a choice to refuse them. So again, refuse is another part of the waste management and circular economy. Then is reducing consumption. So reducing the use of uh, um, uh, certain products which are not sustainable or can create a negative impact on the environment. You can reduce their consumption or even reduce consumption in general. So things like saving water or reducing wastage of water, or is it reducing consumption of certain resources, that all comes under this part. Then comes reuse, which is reusing all the products that you have. So not only using one product only one time, but reusing it multiple times till the end of its life cycle. Then is refurbish, which is refurbishing old stuff to give it a new life. So changing its components that have been deteriorated, and then making it as new so that you can again use the product till the end of life of the certain components which again need refurbishing. Then is repair. So before you repair, before you discard or replace end product which has reached its life cycle or has been damaged or deteriorated, you can choose to repair the product before replacing it. Then is another R, which is repurpose. So after a product has reached its end of life and cannot be used for the purpose that it was intended to, you can then repurpose and use it for another thing. So for example, you must have seen usage of uh, uh, beverage bottles or packed beverage bottles to then store uh, water or oil or other liquids at your home, or to make flower pots or plant pots out of discarded plastic or discarded uh, containers. So that is kind of repurposing. So you are using something or using a product at the end of its life cycle, but not using it for the purpose that it was intended for, but repurposing it to be used as a different kind of product. So that is what is repurposing. Then the last option is to recycle. So breaking down the product into its raw materials, or in a way that it uh, the material of the product can then act as a raw material for manufacturing a different kind of product. So that is recycle, which is the next option. Another thing which I wanted to discuss was this WWF report on which is called the Living Planets report, and it basically talks about our ecological footprint, or what kind of impact humans have on the environment. And there was a question which asked that focusing if all of the people on the planet adopted a consumption pattern or consumption lifestyle which was similar to a high consumption pattern like the United Kingdom or uh, North America, how many Earths would we need? So I think there were some doubts in the question because a certain value of or certain calorific value was mentioned. Uh, but again, I am not really sure how to answer that, because even this graphic, it doesn't mention the value in calories. Actually, mm, the ecological footprint is measured in global hectares or global hectares per person. It is actually not measured in calories, and I checked several sources to see if global hectares can be converted into calories in certain ways, and I did not find any answer to that. So unfortunately, if you want to get an answer to that, whether global hectares can be converted into calories, or is there a way to measure in calories, or are there reports which are measuring uh, ecological footprint or footprint of our consumerist lifestyle in calories, you have to talk to Professor Shivaji. You can ask this doubt on the forum. I am unfortunately unable to clarify this doubt for you. However, I have added a link to the Living Planets report for your reference, and I'm again referring this to you, that this report actually mentions that if an average citizen uh, of the entire planet became like an average citizen of the United Kingdom, we will need uh, three Earths or three planets to sustain the entire population. And if we were to become a consumer like that of an average North American, then we will need five planets or five Earths like this one. You can again click on through to this report, and you will reach to this page of uh, where you will find all the Living Planet reports that have been made. So the latest one is from 2020, but this question, the one which we are discussing, it talks about the 2006 report. So we'll go to this report here, and you can see this is the Living Planets report for 2006, and you can see here it shows you our ecological footprint, uh, how it will be if we continue business as usual. That was in 2006. If we try a slow shift, and if we try rapid reduction, how we will maintain. Then you see it mentions the ecological footprint of different countries. We can see how it is for the United States of America, or for the footprint of a person belonging to the United States of America, or to the United Kingdom, or a person belonging to the United Kingdom, and how it varies. Again, there is this graphic. Okay, this graphic which shows and compares the different countries. You can see this is India, this is China, and then it shows you this is the line of the countries which meet the minimum criteria for sustainability, and then which are the countries which are over this criteria. So you can see countries like the United States of America, Australia, Italy, Hungary, uh, all of these are over the minimum uh, criteria for sustainability, and then you can see countries which are under. Also, it also maps the Human Development Index. So there are a lot of countries which are under the sustainability criteria, but the human development in those countries hasn't reached uh, a certain level, and they still need to experience a lot of human development in those countries. And in order to do that, the countries will have to become greater consumers, and that will essentially increase the amount of consumption the countries do, and essentially increase their footprint on the environment, or their global footprint. So largely you can see the African countries who are not as developed belong in this region. So if you want to read uh, this Living Planets report, go ahead and click this link, and it will take you to this report, and even to the updated reports of the later years. So that was all from my side today. Thank you. If you have any further questions, please go ahead and ask. Tanmay, Seema, if you have any questions? I'm seeing Mandavi, Bhagyashree, and Ananya also. If you have any questions, please go ahead and ask. Okay, Bhagyashree has no doubts. Anyone else? If you have any doubts, please go ahead. Tanmay is asking that during textile manufacturing, waste and emissions are generated during the material and energy output stage, specifically being fossil fuel extraction, customer use, sewing and assembly. Tanmay, is this question from week 7? Week 5. Okay, let me go to week 5. Okay, so it is the 10th question from week 5, that during textile and manufacturing, waste and emission are generated uh, during the material and energy output stage, specifically being what? Is it fossil fuel extraction, customer use, sewing and assembly, or all of the above? So, Tanmay, if you remember, uh, uh, in the textile manufacturing, I think I don't remember. Let me just get to the presentations. Mm, Okay. I can't actually get uh, the earlier file where I showed you how uh, polymers are made by uh, from the materials that come from extraction of fossil fuels. So I think that was in week 4. Let me check once again. Okay, I can't find it right now, but I think you must remember we studied it for the creation or for the manufacturing of nylon or similar kind of polymers that these are manufactured uh, from the products which are extracted at the end of fossil fuel extraction, and from that from those certain kinds of through certain kinds of chemical processes, then the yarn for uh, certain
Hello.
materials are made. So fossil fuel extraction is an answer to this
Yeah.
question because of that because during the manufacturing of that textile, because the textile is obtained from materials obtained from fossil fuel extraction, that is why fossil fuel extraction is the answer to this question. Tanmay, you're saying something?
Yes, I want to say something. The total the book which is uploaded.
Mhm.
Can you go in the PDF page number 381?
Which book is uploaded?
That is the consolidated all the study transcriptions.
Okay, text transcripts. uh, which page you are saying?
381.
So I am seeing a lot of lectures. There is no
Okay.
consolidated one.
I just let me give some time. I just tell you. That is lecture life cycle analysis part B, lecture 25.
Lecture
25, lecture
25.
25, part B.
Okay. Okay, life cycle analysis part B.
Yeah. So if you go to couple of page, maybe 6, 7 page. Okay. So
You can you see my screen? You can just stop me when I reach there.
just okay. You go down. Yeah, this page, this page.
Okay. You can see here itself also. Waste and emissions are coming from fossil fuel extraction.
Yeah. West.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So I maybe misunderstood because each every step energy is required and some byproduct or waste also generated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So initially I thought that maybe all of the process also deal with the energy required and waste generation. So I thought that maybe all of so what is the final would be fossil fuel extraction, right?
Final, what are you saying? Final?
The final answer of that, the correct answer.
Yeah, final answer is again fossil fuel extraction is the same, because even for the amount of energy that might be used in other
Yeah,
stages
is
also, we are considering that fossil fuel extraction is the key stage where
Mhm.
waste and emission is being generated in the textile production uh, sector.
Okay, okay, okay. Got it. Clarified, clarified.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If anyone else has any doubts, please go ahead. Seema, Bhagyashree, do you have any doubts?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Actually, how could relate means circular economy with the wastage of industrial or agriculture like that?
How
Actually, I have
you are
one paper
asking, how can
related to the
I relate waste management with
Sir,
circular economy?
yes.
Okay, so economy is not only a process of profit generation. Economy involves everything, starting from the raw material extraction to the use of those resources for our benefit or for the profit, or even the process of manufacturing of the products, then selling or use of the products as a consumer. All of this is a part of economy. So uh, when uh, we instead of following the general pattern of getting raw material, then manufacturing a product out of the raw material, and then using it as a consumer, and at the end of the life cycle discarding the product as a waste, we can opt for different choices, like when we are deciding to use certain kind of resources, we can rethink our choices, that should I use a paper cup or should I use a plastic cup? Should I use a material made of more sustainable material, or sustainable can I use more sustainable sources of energy, or more sustainable material, or something which is less sustainable? Then we can think of refusing single use material, so not taking part in that economic cycle at all, or reducing our consumption. So as a consumer, trying to reduce the consumption of certain materials which are not so sustainable or not so healthy for the environment, then trying to reduce reuse everything that we have. So not only using it for one time and then discarding it as a waste, but reusing the same thing as a consumer again and again, then trying to uh, opt for refurbishing, repair, or repurposing, instead of just using that product and at the end of its uh, one life cycle just discarding it or replacing it, you are trying to refurbish it or repair it, or trying to repurpose it for a different kind of use. Or at the end of life cycle, if you can't really use it at all, then breaking down to its basic components and recycling it, so that it again can go into the economy as a raw material to be converted into a different kind of product. So these are all related to different stages of our economy, and they try to make the loop more circular instead of a straight line, which is resources, manufacture, use, and then discarding. So instead of a straight line, we are trying to reduce, we are trying to repair and then use again, trying to repurpose, trying to recycle, uh, rethinking, opting for materials which can maybe easily refurbished, or can get decomposed and returned to its natural state more quickly, things like that. So all of these are also part of our economy. Not only the profit generating process, only that is not a part of our economic structure. All of these things are a part of our economy and economic structure, and opting for these strategies do contribute to the circular economy. I hope that was clear.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Uh, any other questions?
What is social impact assessment?
Social impact assessment is basically if you do a certain activity, or you create a certain product, or you design a certain building, or create a certain any kind of product or services or anything. If you create that, it will have a certain impact on the people also. Some people might benefit from it, some people might suffer because of it. So imagine that you are taking some products from a forest. So you're taking the forest resources. Imagine you are taking timber from the forest. So you're chopping down trees. So once you chop down trees, you are making some houses for that. So the houses will be lived in by certain people. So it is a benefit to the people who are using that timber to build their houses. So it is impacting them positively. But it is possible that there might be a forest community who lives in that forest, and they are dependent on the resources of those trees from which the timber is being cut. So now that forest community is robbed of that resource, and they can't use that resource anymore. So uh, in order to determine whether creating any kind of product or service or building or anything, you have to first analyze what impact it will have on different kinds of community. Will it benefit someone? Will it harm someone? Is the benefit enough, or good enough, or great enough that some harm can be tolerated by some community? Or should you provide some compensation to that community who is suffering that harm? All these kind of assessments and analysis is done in case of certain projects which impact severely to some communities. And that kind of assessment is done before deciding that whether this project or this product manufacturing should be done or not. So that is what social impact assessment is. You do the similar kind of thing for environment also, and that is called environmental impact assessment. So similarly, if you study the social impacts instead of studying the environmental impacts, the analysis that you do is called social impact assessment. I hope that was clear.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a questions. Just apart from the study material, whatever the questions we are preparing for the each session, each day for the 10 numbers of questions. So in the final examinations, the question will come from this only, or additional will also come from additional materials also.
No, see, these are only the questions we are discussing. These are practice questions, and the weekly questions that you are assigned, that is your weekly assignment. So
Okay.
you will be awarded marks from your weekly assignment also. That also will count towards your final grade. It is not only the examination, but in the examination you will get questions from all of your lectures. So all of the lectures and study material that is shared with you on the Swayam portal, uh, from that you can get anything. It's not only these questions which I'm discussing, or not only the assignment questions. You can get anything from the lectures which are there in the Swayam portal.
Okay. Thank you.
If there are no further questions, should we close the session for today? Okay, thank you all for attending, and we'll meet next week again, Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Thank you.